talked a little bit about, you're not in my live.
I'm sorry.
Last week we talked a little bit about a bunch of things, and me and Christy were, of course, we go before God with everything that we're doing here on the live, and we were like, trying to battle on which subject to touch on.
Yeah.
And of course, if you've been with us, we've been on mind, we've been on forgiveness. And last week we just talked about a whole bunch of things, and we were so thankful for everybody who joined our live, everybody who participated. It was life-changing for us, and I know that it was life-changing for some of you. So this week we decided to talk about weathering the storm. The things that we're going through right now, the things that we have been through, we're going to try to touch on the ways we deal with them while we're in it, and ways to deal with it after, and the outcome of the storm. So are you ready, Christy?
I'm ready.
Let's talk.
All right. So yeah, just like Nikisha said, I mean, I think sometimes when we go through storms, and this really came prevalent to us after last week's topic. I think sometimes when we go through storms, we start to assume like that the world is out for us. Like God must hate us. We've messed up our plan or our calling for our life. And that's why we continue to endure storm after storm after storm.
Yes.
And so we wanted to bring to you guys just perspective on what God says about the storms that we battle and the storms we face, but then also to share with you guys just what has helped us weather the storms. And really it comes down to, first of all, recognizing that every storm has a purpose.
It has a purpose. It has a purpose, and it has a meaning. Like, we're not going through these storms for no reason.
Right.
We're going through these storms to build us up, to strengthen us for what God has for us along the way.
Yes, yes. And so one of the things that, like, we were talking about, like, storms and why do we go through them and all that kind of stuff. I mean, this is just really the trials and tribulations of life that we have to go through, right? So we're not guaranteed. I think a lot of times it's easy for us to kind of fall into the assumption or belief that, like, when we start flying right with God and we start, walking the life and doing the prayer life and doing all the things, that means that, like, none of the storms or the trials, the valleys are going to come our way again. And we first want to tell you guys that is most certainly not true. The truth.
Yes, yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say, like, God tells us in John, I believe it's 15 and 33. Is that correct? 16 and 33. And he tells us basically that in me you'll find peace. And then with the world, there comes trouble. But I've overcome the world. So basically what he's saying is there's going to be trouble.
Yeah.
This is going to happen. This is what happens in the world. Trouble. The world is made up of trouble. But I've already overcame it. And if I've overcome it, you can do it as well.
Yeah, I mean, something else that comes to my mind is the Bible verse that I'm sure we all almost everybody I'm sure has heard, but it's, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. What does he say about that? Like, I am walking through the valley of shadow of death. So God is acknowledging in the Bible that we are going to walk through these valleys of shadow of death. But what does it say? That he is with us.
Oh, that was good.
So he is not saying, like, you're going to have all these storms and you have to figure out how to deal with them yourself. He's saying, I'm going to be with you.
Yes.
Now, he didn't say, I'm going to help you jump over the storms.
Yes.
He didn't say, if you follow me and always do what I say and you live a perfect life, I'm going to just pop you up and skip you past that storm. No, he said, you're going to walk through them. But guess what? I am going to be with you.
I'm so glad you said that, because yesterday in church, that's exactly what my pastor said, that he'll be with us. But this is the key. We have to invite him in.
Oh, yes.
We have to invite him into the situation. We can't just think that, oh, I'm going through this and automatically God is supposed to be there. Yes, he knows we're going through it, but he's also a gracious God. He's also a God who wants you to invite him into what you have going on. So therefore, if you're in those situations, you need to pray. And you need to begin to talk to God, and you need to begin to invite him into the situation that you're going through, so that then he can walk with you. Again, like Christy said, he didn't say that you're going to go through the storm and it's not going to be a storm, because a storm is a storm. The water is coming down heavy.
Yeah.
The lightning is and the thunder is a storm. But I will be with you. And if he's with you, then nothing can touch you. There's no harm in it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think So then we kind of know already, and we're going to share more verses and everything that has really come to us this week as we were preparing to discuss this with you guys. But I first want to say, like, so we know now that we're going to have storms. We know we're going to go through valleys and have these trials in life. So why do we have them? I mean, for some people, it might be, I know some of the storms I've been through, it's because he was really trying to get my attention. Yeah. If I was not listening to him and I was starting to fall away from the path or my calling or my purpose, he immediately would send a storm. And in those moments, those are the moments that, allows me to drop to my knees and understand, what is he trying to show me? What is he trying to tell me? And that's a purpose of a storm, right? It could be to get us...
It's to get your attention.
Right.
You can have a storm to get your attention. You can also have the main storms that come, they're really to build us up. It's really to build character. It's really to build strength. Because if we don't go through anything, if we don't go through anything, how do you live without going through anything? And then this is where God comes into play. When we're going through these things, he uses these things so that we can cry out to him.
Yes.
He's an attention-seeking guy. So basically, we're going through this because he wants us to seek his attention. For him, he's seeking our attention, and he wants us to draw him in and pull him in by prayer.
Yes.
Through prayer. Yes. So I feel like what you're saying about God, because we definitely go through some things for God to get our attention. Like if you go into the Bible and you dig into the Bible, and I just have to say, we use the Bible a lot because this is where we're at. This is what's helping us through this thing called life. Just in this week, we both were weathering a storm.
Yeah.
We were weathering a storm. In the Bible, it helps you through it because it's not, I'm going to pick my Bible up. It's not something that is just a bunch of rules and regulations. It's an example. Because the same thing that God did back then, he can still do it today.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, these stories that are in this Bible are examples for our daily lives that we're living right now.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? This just hit me too. These stories in the Bible are testimonies. Testimonies for us to have faith and understanding that he does prevail. He is sufficient. He is with us. Now it's our turn to write our own stories, our own testimonies. And that's the other thing about these storms we go through. What Nikisha was saying, to also not only strengthen our resolve and make our faith stronger, but it's through these storms that God's glory and God's power is truly revealed. Yes. I mean, if he doesn't send us storms, we are not convicted to fall on our knees and realize, crap, this is not all me.
Yes.
This promotion, this house, this whatever, it's not all me. It is because of him. And so he sends these storms because it reminds us. And when we get into the place of having pure faith and we have totally surrendered it all to him, his glory is revealed.
And that's so good you say that, because I wrote down a quote by Ryan Leake, and he said, "You will find it difficult to rest in the midst of a storm when you feel that it's your responsibility to calm the storm."
I wrote that down too. That was from our devotion this morning. Remember?
Oh, yes.
See, I told y'all, like everything we're doing.
That's so crazy.
Yes,
so the thing about it is, we don't have any control. We don't have the control. The control is all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean, I'm not sorry. I mean, this is what it is. God is working in and through us. Mm-hmm. And he's revealing himself. Like I said, everything that we're talking about is because we're going through it. And just in this week, you caught both of us in our closet at different times, maybe at the same time, crying our eyes out because we feel like, God, this is a storm, and I can't believe that the storm is here right now. But what he's doing is, what we have done is just figured it out that, okay, now I know how to process this. Now I know I have to totally depend on God, and this situation is to build me up. This situation is to make me stronger. And now I'm understanding that, everything that I go through is for a reason. It's for a purpose. It's to help out the next person.
That's really, I mean, that's the thing is I feel like sometimes we get so caught up. The society has us believing that when we fail, it's a bad thing. It's a bad thing. You've messed up. And no. And I mean, as a parent, I get that too. When my kids mess up, it's hard not to want to like condemn, but that's not what failing is about. Failing is about like, we're having to learn. We're learning how to live life. We're learning how to call on God, rely on God. We're learning how to, use our own insights and, did you have something? Our own insights and experiences to help us persevere. But then at the end of the day, now we get to take all of that we've learned and we get to go empower other people. We get to go break it off other people. I walked through the flames. I survived.
And then, girl, when you walk through the flames, when God is with you, you come out and you don't even smell like smoke.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
you come out and you don't even smell
I love that.
like smoke. Just like my pastor spoke on yesterday. When Daniel went into that lion's den.
Yes.
Those lions' mouths were closed. And he was there because he said, his God. He said he served the King of all kings.
Yeah.
Not the king that you telling me to bow down to, but I serve the King of all kings. And guess what? I got into this lion den believing that I was going to come out, and he came out without a scratch.
Yeah.
And those things, like, it seems crazy because, okay, what human is going to get put into a lion's den in actual life, but every day, we're getting put into lions' dens.
Yeah.
The things that we're going through, it's all tests. It's all to see if we're going to depend on God.
Yeah.
And Priscilla Shire said something earlier that got to me too. And it said, sometimes our difficulties are less about the enemy, and it's more about God trying to show us himself and what he can do if we trust in him.
Yes. I mean, it's always, I was going to do that.
Oh, well, yeah, because
it's always about that. That's the thing. It's always about that. And I think
the enemy credit.
Yes, we give the enemy too much power. Right. And I think like I'm guilty of that too, but we give the enemy too much power. Every time we, can't pay a bill, every time we, can't lose that weight, every time we get passed up on the promotion, it's the enemy. Oh, the enemy. He's after me again. I'm in a spiritual battle again. And yes, we are always being attacked. We are always in spiritual warfare. But there are many times where it's really for God's glory, and it's really a message, and it's really something he is trying to impart on us, because then at that point we get to then turn around and share that. It becomes a testimony, right? It becomes a testimony that we get to share with people. And that also brings up even over here where Joe had said, it's sometimes hard to translate what's in here to today's terms. Absolutely. It's hard. You read that about the lion's den and you're like, well, God's not sending me to the Houston Zoo today to go sit with the lions. Like, how do I relate that? But for some of us, the lion's den,
it could be your bills.
It could be a bill.
It could be your bills.
It could be your marriage.
It could be anything.
It could be a friendship. It could be work.
Yes.
It could be, I know where I used to work in the corporate world, I would feel like I was walking into the lion's den.
And I like that, what Deidre said. And I want to, have y'all participate. So we're going to do this instead of keep talking. But Deidre said, what is the difference between the storms we create opposed to the storms that we're speaking of in terms of the ones we go through because of God?
The storms we create?
Yes.
Well,
and I think that's the whole thing. Everything that we go through, God's hand is in on it.
Yeah.
Even if we feel like we may have created it.
Sorry.
It was created for a reason. Whoever created it, I know sometimes we feel like we put ourselves into certain pickles. Like, we put ourselves into certain situations. Like when you spoke of last week, how it was relationships that you were in and God told you to get out, but yet you still stayed in those situations. We have to understand God knows the ending before the beginning.
The Alpha and Omega.
He knows it all. So the whole thing is to seek him throughout the whole storm.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring up another one. We talked about the lion's den. Another one that we were both talking about, Nikisha and I, is when with the boat in the storm with Peter, right? Mm-hmm. So they're in the water. What happens? They're in this boat, this small boat, and all of a sudden this storm is like crazy. The winds are blowing. Everything is, it's the rain, everything. You're in the middle of a storm. And what does Jesus tell Peter? He says, get out. So he's telling him, get out of the boat. Walk into the storm with me. I'm here. Walk into it.
And then he asked, Jesus, is that you?
Yes.
He was trying to figure it out.
And he didn't reprimand him. Yeah, he didn't reprimand him. Jesus, is that you? How many times are you like, God, is this really you telling me this? Mm-hmm. And so Peter said, Jesus, is that you? And he's like, yes, get out of the boat. So he gets out of the boat and he's fine. He's there with walking. Jesus. Mm-hmm. He's walking. And then all of a sudden, he takes his eyes off of Jesus and he turns and he looks at the storm. And what happens?
He begins to sink.
You guys, that is it. When we're in the middle of the storm, our problem, because of the way our minds and brains are built, we program the incorrect coding into our mind and it gets into our brain. And so when we're in the middle of the storm,
we want to focus on the storm.
We tend to just look around and be like, oh my God, the winds, the rain, it's never going to stop. It just keeps going. I'm like overflowing. I can't take this. And all God is saying is
focus on me.
Look at me.
Focus on me. If you keep your eyes on me, you will be above the water. You won't drown.
Yes.
Like, a lot of us may feel like we're drowning. Yes. We're drowning, but we're not drowning because we're still here.
Debt. Drowning
but we're still here.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? We're still here because our God knows all. He's greater than anything that we can ever go through. So therefore, if we focus on him, really, I know it might be hard. I know it might be trying because the things that are going on is so much. It's so much. But if we focus on him, he'll prove himself. He'll prove himself.
Yeah. And I know, so we kind of talked about, and we'll make sure we're looking at all the comments and everything. We've talked about why we go through storms, how we handle storms, all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing, we got to break it off, right? So how do we actually get ourselves through the storm? And here's the thing, the one thing, okay, I'm going to let you read that in a minute. But the one thing that came to me last night is I was like, okay, I just feel like I don't have all the answers to share with them. I'm not equipped enough. I feel like the only thing I get to tell them is you have to pray. And then this morning we read a devotion that we're reading together. And what do you know, separately, but we're both reading it at the same time. And what do you know it talks about? The whole devotion is really
about weather and the storm.
The only answer to getting through a storm is prayer.
It is.
And I was like, that makes me think of why, the whole Peter analogy with getting out of the boat. That's the same thing. I mean, it's when you're in the storm, the only way you're going to get out of that storm is to be on your knees in prayer.
And the thing is, we have to be thankful. Even in it, we have to remain thankful. Let me just try to, first I want to say what Joe said, and it was just so good. He said back when they were in the army, they used to say, if it ain't raining, we ain't training. So the storms is a part of the process. It's a training. That was so good,
That
Joe.
is good.
That was so
that
good.
Really
now,
good.
Now I'm going to be doing push-ups when I'm in the storm. But real talk, the thing is, let me run the story of Joseph by you real quick. If anybody should have gave up on life, it should have been Joseph. It should have been Joseph. He had brothers. Mm-hmm. His brothers who's supposed to love him, who's supposed to protect him, who took him out to kill him. One brother stopped him from killing him and said, let's just throw him in a pit. Let's just sell him in slavery. Then he gets sold into slavery and he becomes, he goes to Pharaoh. Was it Pharaoh? Well, no, that was Moses. That was Moses. But he goes to this palace or whatever and he's working for the king. And he's favorite, but the wife wants to sleep with Joseph. And I'm telling y'all, the Bible is so good. It got so much juicy drama. Mm-hmm. You just got to get into it. You got to be able to be willing to open it up and look into it and read it. Yeah. So he goes into this palace and his wife is steady. The king wife is steady throwing herself at Joseph and he's steady telling her, no. No, I can't do this. I can't dishonor my king by doing this. So what she do is she take his coat of many colors that he was given to by the king. She takes it and she goes to the king and she tell him that, she cries out to the police or whatever, and she tell them that he raped her. So now Joseph is put in jail. Okay, so first you was thrown into a pit, you were sold into slavery, and now you're put into jail. God, what could you have for me after all of these bad things have happened to me?
Well, can I add something real quick? I mean, he already knew he had a calling.
He knew he had a calling from the beginning. That's what started it. He told his brothers about this dream that he had that they were bowing down to him. And that was the problem that his brother said. Oh no, we got to get rid of him if he think that we going to be slaves to him. So they got rid of him. So Joseph is like, okay, I had this dream and I had this vision. I know that you're going to do this, God. Well, why is all of this happening? But what I can say about Joseph is he never questioned.
Yeah.
He never questioned. He believed in his dream and he remained faithful to what it was that God told to him. So then Joseph get put in prison. When he gets put in prison, he gives this dream to the two guys that's in prison with him. And he said, when y'all go relay this to the king, remember to mention me. Remember to mention that I told y'all about this and I told y'all that it would happen so that he can release me. When they got out, they didn't even tell him.
Yeah.
So now Joseph is in jail longer. And then something else transpired and Joseph had this other dream. And he's like, let me go and tell the king about this dream. When he tells the king about this dream, now the king lets him out. Long story short, Joseph then is raised to a higher power.
Yeah.
After being in jail, after being thrown in a pit, after being thrown into slavery, now my brothers have to come back to me and bow down to me and ask me for food. And that's the same thing that God will do with our enemies. The people that think that they're tearing you apart and tearing you down, these storms that you think you can't get past, God will use them as a stepping stone. These storms are going to have to bow down to you. My pastor said it yesterday. Don't bow down to your storms. Bow down to your master.
Yeah.
So get on your knees and begin to pray. Begin to pray. I'm gonna let Christy talk because I'm just running in.
You know what? I love that. That was good. That was good. You were like firing me up. So I'm hoping y'all got all fired up too. But the thing about that too is the whole notion, and I want to get to what she was saying too over here. The whole notion of you have to have faith. You can't just drop to your knees in the middle of a storm and just like pray and it's just going to go away. But you have to persevere and have faith and believe that he is with you and that he is carrying you through and that every storm does have a purpose, and asking God, what is it in this? Like I am feeling lost and broken, Lord. I don't even know what to say to you, God. I don't even know where to even start. And then sit down with a pen and paper and just start writing what you get, and you're going to start to understand the purpose. But the other thing about this whole faith thing is you have to have faith before you see it.
Come on now.
And
you have to believe it. You have to believe it. Everything is done through our mind. We have to believe, okay, God, I'm in this storm. I don't know when I'm about to come out. I don't even know how I'm going to come out. But I'm believing in you. I'm trusting you. And my pastor, again, pastors along the way throughout life, they always say, trust God even when you can't trace God. So even when you don't feel him around, if you keep your trust in him, I promise y'all, Christy, come on, can you tell them how we going through it right now? God is proving himself. That's why it's a lot of times where we don't want to ourselves, like being in the flesh is like, what's coming out of us getting our lives? You know, what's coming out of it? Let's stop. Let's not do it. But at the end of the day, every day, it's not a day that don't go by that God is showing us his hand.
Yeah.
He's working in our lives. So it's like we can't let you miss out on it.
Yeah. I'm gonna tell you something else about that. I mean, like the whole thing is like God goes against what the world says. Remember, we talked about this last week. The world tells us I'll believe it when I see it, and God says, you believe it and then you see it. Amen. So I just want to like wrap that up.
Amen.
But there is somebody over here, Cheryl was talking about like, how do I know that it's God and not distractions, like all these like storms or things that are coming at me and all that, you know. The thing about knowing whether it's God or distraction, I mean, it doesn't matter. Storms are sent and they have a purpose. So we know that. But yes, in the middle of a storm, you're going to get hit with a lot of distractions. That could be the hail. That could be the lightning. And those are the distractions. And that's why we've got to stay focused and centered with him to understand how are we going to get out of it.
Joe said over here, and I just want to go back. He just said, you know, that Joseph had to be a servant before he was turned into a leader, before he was a king. Like, it's some things that we have to go through before we're promoted.
Yes.
So, and I wanted to,
I love that.
It is. It's some things that we have to go through. And Joe also said, I love Joe, y'all. He just be having all the things to say over here on the live. But he said, we need to have as much of faith in God as we trust a chair when we're about to sit in it.
That's right. Look at, yes. Yes.
You know,
it
like,
needs to be that innate.
Yes,
it
like, I mean, I know
innate.
that some people don't believe, and you have the right not to believe, but what is it going to hurt you to believe?
Yeah.
What is it going to hurt you to believe that what you're going through right now is not going to last always? Like, for instance, a storm in general. A storm comes, but a storm passes by.
Yeah.
It doesn't stay. It could rain 40 days and 40 nights, but it's going to come to an end.
Yes.
It's going to come to an end. And when it comes to an end, what happens? What happens when the storm comes to an end? The sun comes out.
Yeah.
Christy said we get the rainbow. I ain't really into all them colors.
Well, it's in the Bible. It's in the Bible. That's like our promise.
But
And
you're
I mean,
a
I know
happy
it's like a
person.
symbol, huh?
You're a
I
happy
am a
person,
happy
yeah.
person. But there's the symbolism is there for a reason. And I mean, there is. It just we are truly
Kevin said, talk to him, Joe.
I know. I should probably bring like Joe up on these more often, right? He needs to come on. But yeah, so we know when we get through the storms that there is his blessing is there. It's what we learn from it. The other thing too is like when we're going in the middle of the storms, John 16:33. Can we go back to that?
Yes.
What does Jesus say?
He says clearly, look, I told you, in me you'll have peace. But in this world, you will have trouble.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I've overcome the world.
You guys.
You good.
Yes. Here's the thing. When we
good.
focus so much on the storm, we were talking about that earlier. When we do that, it's almost as if we start to elevate it to an idol. An idol is anything that is going to consume our time, our mind, our everything over God. And so when we focus on the storm and we're not dropping to our knees and going up with it, then we've basically created this into an idol. We cannot get out of the storm if we're continuing to idolize it.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
We have to face the storm. We have to understand what we're trying to learn from it. And then just look, we have to go through storms. I used to get so pissed. I used to be like, God, why me? Why again? Why? And it's like at the same time, it's like, I'm not going to will that on anyone else. I don't want Nikisha to go through it. I don't want anybody else to go through it. And at the same time, it's like, I can't have season after season after season of bright, sunny weather and all perfect sunny skies because I need the rain.
You need the rain.
I need the rain. That's how the harvest comes.
Come on now.
Yeah. That one just came out. That one just came out.
That was God.
But that's how, yeah, there was. It was totally him.
Yeah.
But that's how we get the harvest. We have to go through it. We have to plant the seeds. We have to go through the storms.
Water. The sun got to hit it right in order for it to grow. So we have to stop. Like, if we can do anything, because we don't want to be on live long.
Yeah.
We want to say stop focusing on the storm. It's a part of life. It's what happens. We go through things, but we go through things to make us stronger. We go through things to build us up. So just take it at that.
Yeah.
Take it at that. Like I'm talking about, y'all, this week right here, and we're so weird. She sends me pictures of her face after she's been crying. You know, it's like something, like, you know, just some weird stuff. But at the end of the day, I'm here for her to help keep her encouraged. She's here for me to help. So find you somebody who's going to encourage you. Don't tell your troubles to somebody that's going to feed into to make the storm worse by continue to that's what I'm going through too, or this is what happens after that. No, you need to have somebody that's gonna encourage you through the storm, weather the storm with you. Look, they had a story. Let me see if I can get it right. It was something that happened in the Bible where these people, they had never seen rain. They had never seen rain, and they all were praying, for this rain, for the rain, for the rain, for the rain. When the rain came, everybody laughed because only one little girl pulled up an umbrella. But she was expecting the rain.
Love that.
She was expecting the rain. So if we begin to expect that we're going to come out of this, we have to go into these things believing that something is going to happen. But if you all go into it unprepared, like this is the storm, the rain just going to fall on you. Yeah. And you're not even prepared. You're not even sheltered.
Yeah.
Girl, I don't even know when I heard that story, but I heard it.
I love that. I love that. And I think, dude, like the biggest way, the only way we get to defeat the enemy through these storms is by persevering. When we throw our hands up and we're like, oh, there's just nothing I can do. I'm never going to be able to pay these bills. I'm never going to get this weight off. I'm never going to get that job. Never going to get married, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, we're calling defeat. We're saying, okay, enemy, you win. But if you keep going, you keep persevering, not only are you building your faith, you're building your strength, you're building perseverance, but guess what you're doing to the freaking enemy? You know, you're...
And I ain't gonna lie to y'all, we be like, look, she know I can fight, you know, so she be like, I'm ready, let's get out here and let's... Where then? Oh, we'll get out there and we'll be swinging that mid-air because we're not giving the enemy any room. We know that God has a plan for us. We know that God is doing a major thing in this year. So right now, we sending it straight up. Yeah, we sending it straight up. On the other side of troubles, it's prayer. Mm-hmm. It's prayer. And through prayer, God will get us through anything.
I'm all prayed out. I'm
yes,
tired.
That's good. Come on, Joe. Come on, Joe.
Okay, what is
iron sharpens iron. Choose carefully who's sharpening your stone.
That is good. I want.
Joe, you want to be a part?
So,
girl, that's my little cousin.
Okay, so she's saying that she's prayed out. I'm tired.
It's a dude.
Okay, he's saying prayed out, tired, for 15 years. I can't. Okay. That goes back, like you guys, have you all experienced, like I have prayed everything. I have prayed, I have come, I've been on my knees and nothing has changed. Have you guys been there? I've been there. You know what the difference is? It's because you're not praying with believing.
Exactly.
It really does come down to it.
Come on, and not only believing, like, no, that's it. It is believing. It's believing. You have to believe something. But this is the thing too. God is who he is.
Yeah.
He's who he is. And we have to understand that all pressure can't be on him. He gives us the choice.
Yeah.
He gives us, what kind of decisions are we making?
Yeah.
What kind of decisions are we making and we still want him to put his hands in and do everything for us or give us everything that we want? What are we doing? What are we doing? We're not even worthy of the blessings that God gives us right now.
Yeah.
I could be a person who prays 24/7 and I'm at a time in my life where I've never prayed the way I'm praying right now and I'm still not deserving of what God does for me.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Pastors, people who give the word of God, no one is deserving of what God has done for us. He gave his son. Mm-hmm. He gave his son to die for our sins so that we can continue to do wrong.
We're blowing up over here. I want to make sure we're getting these.
Come on now, and that lady with the issue of blood. Somebody said, what about the lady with the issue of blood? She had a faith beyond the human understanding.
For those of you who may not know, the reference of that is in the Bible.
In the Bible.
Where Jesus is walking and there's crowds and crowds of people. And this woman just believes, like, if I can just touch
the hem
robe,
of his garment, I'll be made
my
whole.
bleeding will stop. And
she bled for 12 years straight. And no stopping.
What does she do in the midst of the crowd? She reaches out and she touches his robe. His robe.
She was intentional.
Here's what happened. Jesus immediately, crowds and crowds of people, he fills his robe and he says immediately, who touched my robe? He did that because what happened when she touched the robe? She had so much faith that she believed if I just touch his robe, I'm going to be instantly healed. His power is going to instantly come into me and I'm going to be healed. And guess what happened? He did feel it. His power did leave him because he felt a touch on his robe.
On the hem of his robe. That's like the bottom part.
His power did leave because she believed. And that is the only reason he even felt her touch, is because he could feel his power leave and go into somebody. And he said, get up, you're healed. She gets up, she walks away.
It was dried up.
That is the faith that we have to have. But remember, this is why it's almost like this kind of culmination of leading up to this. The weeks prior, that's why we talked about you have to understand what goes on in your mind. You have to understand and capture the thoughts that you're allowing to be processed and programmed into your brain. Because if you are filled with all these toxic mushroom caps, you have no room left for belief.
And something else I like about the woman with the issue of blood. Because what it says is, soon as she touched the hem, the blood was dried up immediately because she believed. So when God called out and said, who touched me? She could have ran. She could have ran in fear and said, oh, because this was this was the Messiah who was coming through. She had no business touching him, but she believed. And guess what? She stood up to that. She manned up and said, it was me. It was me who touched the hem of your garment. So what we have to do is we have to intentionally believe. And after we intentionally believe, we have to commit to saying, I believed it and now I'm going to walk in it.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to man up and I'm going to walk into whatever. This morning I got in my closet, y'all, and I prayed. And when I prayed, I said, God, whatever you want to throw my way, throw it my way.
Yeah.
Throw it my way. I'm prepared. However you want to do it, throw it my way. I surrender. I'm ready for whatever it is that you have for me, because I know I'm believing with everything in me. And I want y'all to look at us right now, and I'm going to state it right now. You're looking at millionaires.
Yeah, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You're looking at millionaires, because I'm believing in it. And there's nothing that's going to change my mind. I'm walking in it.
Yeah. I wasn't going to share this, but I just want to share, and I probably won't go into too much details because of time, but I just want to share with you guys. We're talking about all these stories in this again, but I want to share with y'all, like, even in today, like, personal testimonies and the power of him working. We, like Nikisha said, we're both battling storms. We are both in the middle of it. And I love when people tell me, like, I would never know, like, what you're going through. I love that. I take that as a compliment, because I'm like, good, then what they're seeing is God and they're not seeing me. And that's what I want the world to see, right? But in the midst of these storms, like this past weekend, it hit me hard. But what was amazing about this is because I am starting to get kind of more aligned with God, I am getting more aligned with God. I'm being intentional when I'm spending my time with him. I felt this darkness on me on Thursday, like all day on Thursday, I felt it. And where I thought it was really coming from was because I was catching all these thoughts, these negative thoughts that would come in my head, like, why am I thinking that about him? Or why did I just say that? And I was catching all of these negative thoughts all day long. So by the end of the afternoon, I felt drained. Yes. Okay. By Thursday night, I was like, oh my gosh, I am so tired. I just want a day off to do nothing tomorrow. And so the morning I woke up and I felt good. I didn't feel depressed, but I just felt like I need to be in him all day. I want to be in his word. I just felt this desire. I only felt that one other time. And so, like, I dug in. I canceled my meeting in the morning, and I just sat in the closet reading different devotions, reading different things, reading things I'd written. And all of a sudden, like, I could just feel this culmination of something was about to brew. Something was about to happen. Yes. And sure enough, bam, the storm, like, the boat hit against the shore, and it crashed, and there was a hole. But right at the very last minute, God came through.
Yes, he did.
God came through.
In the same day. Like that morning, she's not lying. Like, she was struggling and in the midst of crying and weak in the knees. Like, my girl was going through it.
Yeah.
And before the night had to end, because she chose to get up and seek him. Today, I'm seeking you. And God sees that. Yes. He sees that, and he wants to prove him to the last minute.
And you know what?
To the last minute.
Literally the last
minute.
And what's crazy is, like, and this was something, like, you know, when you're going through a storm that affects you or your husband or whatever, it's easier to battle, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, I can freaking do this, or like, oh crap, you know, whatever. You are in control of it, I guess is where I'm going with it. When it starts to affect your children as a parent, or at least for me, like, I'm like, oh, that's where it's like, come on, God, don't be doing that. Don't be doing that. Don't be messing with my child. So in the middle of the storm, my husband and I had to walk in obedience from what God was telling us to do, which was going to be to take something away from our child that really is like his heart and soul. And so we obediently, crying, we're getting ready to have that conversation. In the middle of the conversation, when the phone rings and God answers.
Amen.
And I'm like, I about fell to my knees, because I was like, we did the ultimate sacrifice. We sacrificed. We stepped out as parents and almost we did just an act of obedience. Yes. But I think just spending that time recognizing, here's the thing that I want to tell you, is sometimes when you're starting to feel that darkness, that heaviness, that depression, that is a warning sign. I have missed it for years. I have missed it for years. But this weekend, y'all, that's what I want to share with y'all. Like, this weekend, it showed me that that's our warning sign. Yes. So when you start to feel just overcome with heaviness and darkness, use that as your warning sign. Go sit in a closet. Not that you can spend half a day in one like I did, but go sit. Try to find time and get in his word, and you'll start to see what he's trying to show you, what he's trying to prepare you for.
And in this season, we're going to end, but in this season, God is saying, make time for me.
Yeah.
Make time for, purposely,
Intentional.
make time for me. Stop finding time for me. Stop finding when you're going through something, now you want to reach out. He's still going to be there. He's still going to be there. But right, this, make time for him.
Yeah.
Be intentional about it. And like she said, when I tell you I'm on the phone listening with her, I'm crying with her through this. And God showed up.
It's crazy.
God showed up. So we're going to leave you with this. Make time for him. Make time for him. Embrace the things that you're going through. Give them to him. Mm-hmm. Seek him. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's all I have to say.
Yeah.
So, we wanted to tell y'all, we have a YouTube channel. We're going to put our YouTube channel up so that y'all can subscribe. We're learning to say subscribe. Press that button and subscribe. Share this video so that it can reach other people. We love you too. We love you too.
Yes, love you. All y'all.
What else we wanted to say? We're creating a Facebook page so that we don't have to be going live from like 50 different cameras, so that we can focus on one camera. Mm-hmm. But y'all, God is doing something major in everybody's life. Mm-hmm. In everybody's life. Mm-hmm. So just embrace it. Yeah. Embrace it. Begin to seek him. If you don't know him, find him. If you need help, DM us. Message us.
Yes.
This is what our heart is for right now. Mm-hmm. We're trying to reach the people with him because he's so good. And this year, I don't want nobody to miss out on what God is doing in this year, because it's a good one. Yeah. It's a good one, y'all. And everybody attached to us, they winning. Mm-hmm. They winning.
I love how Joe said that over, because you practice during the rain. I love that. It's the notion of in the middle of the storm, in the middle of the rain. That's
what we're made whole.
Yep.
That's what we're strong. And it's gonna be storm after storm. I love you, Kevin, for the support. I love all of y'all.
All of y'all.
So
yes.
Thank y'all so much. Again, if y'all have any prayer requests, put them in the DM. We're praying like never before. Yes. If you're afraid to pray, we're going to go to war for you. We are at war. Yes. So send us DMs. We're praying like never, whatever. Email. We're at Chris and Keish at Gmail. We'll leave them in the messages. But thank y'all so much, and we'll see y'all next week.
All right, you guys. Happy week.
Yes. Have a
many blessings.